Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to my garden for part 2 of my late spring garden tour video. Yesterday I took you with me into the upper garden, and today I want to show you the entire back of the garden here, which is laid out in terraces. It is sun flooded at this time of the day. We are already in the late evening. It is fully west facing, and that means that it is ideal not only to grow flowers, it is also perfect to grow your fruit and vegetable. And this is why today I want to start here in the vegetable area of my garden. So let's just start here at the top terrace where I have my 3 raised beds, and the first raised bed looks fantastic. If you just think about, I think roughly 6 weeks, maybe 2 months ago, I stood here, did a video with you where I was sowing some salad crops, I was planting some of them, and they've grown in so well. So I've got some salads here, I've got radicchio, I've got this really nice Japanese salad which is called Maizona, I think. Then I've just got some dark salad here. This is choy, this is a Vietnamese salad, and cilantro here. It's really wonderful, and the salad tastes extremely well. Like this choy here, very interesting flavor. Already put it in salads. I think it is fantastic. Goes right in the mouth. Second raised bed, and I think this is good if you just come here and really have a look at it, because things are still rather small, but they're looking already very promising. Now I have to eat my salad quickly. It tastes good, by the way. If you're looking for a new flavor, that is a good one. So I've got basil here. This is a nice green basil. Then I've got a row of purple one. As you can see, the purple definitely decided to germinate a lot better. I've got chives here. Then I have parsley. Then I have amaranth. This is amaranth that you can harvest and prepare it as spinach apparently, and more salad in here. So things are still small, but you can see where it's going to go. Like the parsley, definitely first tiny leaves are appearing. So I'm very happy about that. Kind of weird is everything germinated well here, and then here at this part, not so well. So I have no idea what the situation is, but sometimes you have these funny moments in raised beds. The third raised bed, this is where I grew my carrots last year, and I'm going to do the same again this year. So I have carrots here, and the really weird thing is I thought that I'm going to put cloches on top of it to make germination better. But the area where I put the cloches, I have 0 germination, and the area where I haven't, carrots have germinated extremely well. So I think I have to resow there. I have 3 rows of parsnip in here now this year, which is exciting. Then I still had some of salad crops that I put in here, and then I also had like 2 more of my bell peppers that I put in here. What is really exciting, and I want to show you, so I have to come closer, I invested in some new cold frames and mini greenhouses this year, and I think this was a really good investment. Because what I put in here are my Rudbeckia. Rudbeckia cherry brandy is my favorite variety. Slugs and snails love them, but they haven't really discovered it yet. And look at these. I grew all of them from seed, and they look fantastic. This is really what you want to have. Multiple stems coming, so they're definitely going to come to bloom this year. And also, if you take a look in here, the plants are really looking cute. Love this one. That was a good investment. Then my strawberries in pots, I potted them last year. They flower in a really beautiful red. It's kind of like ruby red, and then you see the first fruit already, and next to it, still small but beautiful. Isn't that fantastic? A sweet shrub. I mean, these blooms are very exotic looking, and a lot of them are coming, like a lot of flower buds. Here is one, there is one, there's small ones. So it is going to flower pretty long throughout the entire year. So that is fantastic. I love that one. So things in here are generally looking fairly well. So let's just continue to the second layer of the terrace. And Alfie, do you want to have some camera time too now? I'm going to carry you a little bit. Because Alfie actually knows that she's not allowed to go into the next layer, because then she doesn't really understand the concept on walking on a wooden plank. She's just like dawdling straight through my baby plants, and that is not ideal. I mean, I'm not mad at her, but at the same time, I'm just like, no, that was a fennel and another one. So I think today I'm going to carry her. So this is a second terrace for the vegetable garden, and I think this looks really nice this year. So what I did is I leveled it out, I prepared the soil, I came in with horse manure, I came in with fresh soil, I put these wooden planks in here, which I buried, and then I put one in the middle, so it is really nice and easy to walk around here and to maneuver. By the way, the neighbor runs a farm and he comes with a tractor now, so I'm not sure if we have to make a cut now, which we will do. The tractor is kind of gone, so I think it's not in the audio. So let's really have a look at all these nice plants here, because I think this is off for a flying start this year. I just planted a tomato here. I've grown them from seed, and I'm not an expert with growing tomatoes, so I'm happy with anything. If I grow one single tomato, I'd be very thrilled about that. Then this is where I have a nice blend of different kind of cauliflower, pointy cabbage, a red pointy cabbage, purple cauliflower too, a volunteer potato. And as it comes, I also don't have the heart to take that one out. So I'm going to have a potato also in the middle of all of my cauliflower and cabbages. Here I planted my peppers with you. They are looking really cute. Here I have fennel. In this funny frame here on your right, if you're wondering what this is, my construction, my beautiful one that I came up with, I'm growing sweet peas this year because, well, I like sweet peas, and sweet peas are perfect for a vegetable garden because what they naturally do is they produce these tiny white round nodules at their roots, and when they break down later on after you harvested your peas, you leave the roots inside because those nodules, they break down to nitrogen, or they produce nitrogen and then they break down and release the nitrogen into the ground. So it is a really nice natural way of fertilizing your soil. And if you grow, for example, cabbages and cauliflower, they use a lot of energy from your soil. So last year in this area, I had all of my cabbages. So it is a good idea to grow peas this year in that same area to bring something good back to the soil. So it is a nice way on how to harvest something, but also naturally fertilize your soil of the garden. Here I have some fennel, which is looking cute. Then here I have big success stories, so you have to take a look at it closer, because last year it was a total fallout and I'm really, really proud about it. So I have some celery. I love celery. And they look so cute already. Really nice little plants, and you already know where they are going. So 2 rows of celery looking very cute. Then my patch of beets. And then here, this is where I did a video with you about the 3 sisters in the garden. This is an old, I don't want to say ancient, but an old growing method from Native Americans, the Cherokee. They grow 3 crops together. So you have corn, and then in theory you have beans, which is like climbing up the corn. And then you have squash as a ground cover with big leaves to make sure that the soil doesn't dry out completely. So my beans are too vigorous, so they are going to grow on canes here, but they have germinated already. Corn really gets established, looks nice, and the courgettes too. So I didn't want to have pumpkins. I didn't also want to have squashes. At one point I was like, it's a little too much in the family. So this is why I decided to substitute the squash and go with courgette, but I think that they will be really nice here. Very vigorous normally. Courgette are one of those crops that you don't want to forget to harvest, because at one point, I think everybody who ever grew courgette, you know the feeling of like going into your vegetable garden and suddenly you discover courgette that has grown to such size and you're like, how on earth am I possibly going to eat it, or what to do with that? So I think this is the most interesting part of the vegetable garden. The 3rd terrace down there, this is where I put some pumpkins and some potatoes, but they're itty bitty plants. So honestly, there isn't too much interesting to look at right now. So I think now is a good time to walk to the other side of the terrace garden, where I have a lot of flowers, a lot of annuals, a lot of tender plants like dahlias, really fun things. A lot of projects are on their way. And Alfie, now you can walk on your own again. Yes, just not in the vegetable garden, but I know that this is the time of the day when you really want to follow me. So what I'm going to show you too is, you can already see it here a little bit, I started building proper stairs to that slope. So this is a year where we can finally, and I'm going to do it now, really run down the slope, which is perfect. So it really starts feeling like a real garden, like a terrace garden. It took quite a lot of time to build them. I'm not a handyman by all means, so I came up with a system and they are sturdy. So that in itself makes me very happy. So if we walk in this area here, you can see that initially I started with the first terrace here, and this is the one that is established the best and the most, and a lot of the things are looking really beautiful this time of year. Catinus has to be one of my favorite shrubs in the garden. This is a variety called Grace, which is vigorous, I have to say. It also comes to bloom every single time beautifully. The autumn foliage is ruby red, is really fantastic. So if you want to have something that has beautiful foliage throughout the entire year, and then also has a wonderful crimson red in autumn, this is your variety. So Grace is just a perfect shrub. The bench is already ready again to sit down and take a rest here, which is so nice at this time of the day, because if you just swing around, I hope you won't have sun flares, but the sun is in your face at this time of the day, and you can look over all the farmland, and the entire landscape here just opens up. So it is really relaxing to sit here in the evening just with a glass of wine, or just with a glass of water too, obviously, but it is really relaxing. What I really want to show you is this entire corner here, because I think it's beautiful. My first roses are in bloom. This is Rose rugosa Terrace Bonnier. Again, a double rose, but just a double as it opens, and then later on you will see all the pollen. You can't really see it now, and it's heavily fragrant. It has a really nice sweet perfume, perfect pink blooms. And what is so beautiful about it is, I really want to show you a good example. So here, if you just look here at this stem, for example, can you tell? The wood is red. So even in winter, this rose has a really beautiful winter structure, because all these stems, when the leaves drop down, you have this wonderful dark burgundy color wood here, which is really special, especially in the sun. Then this entire corner here, I think, is so cute. So this is an iris that a friend gave to me. She had it on her balcony. She had, I think, 2 rhizomes. And then when they stopped flowering, she discovered, well, bearded iris are not so attractive anymore on the balcony, so she decided to give them to me. And those bearded iris definitely thanked me well, because this entire patch here came out of 2 tiny rhizomes, and they already start to open. Very small and delicate flowers, but a lot of them. There are a lot of buds appearing still. And again, what I think works so well here, the same what I explained to you yesterday in the front garden, is when you have colors in your garden, try to connect them with different plants. So again, the iris is mainly white, but it has these really dark veins running through here, which are exactly the same color as its Nora Barlow Aquilegia, a double, very dark color, almost black, purplish, really big drift, beautiful. And then more bearded iris to come here. They're also very dark, very sinister, almost blackish, purplish, tall ones. So in general, this is a really nice area for like early summer, late spring, early summer. There are no more tulips anymore in this area, but still, I think, really nice example on how this time of the year and how this season can look. So if we just continue walking to the second terrace, there are a lot of more different exciting things to discover. And also you will see some things that are going to come in future videos, because I'm very big in growing a lot of my plants from seeds, especially annuals. I think last year with fruit and vegetable and with all my flowers, I roughly had 5,000 seedlings. And I think this year I'm pretty much going to have the same amount over the entire year. One thing that you see now, obviously, the person who is so generous to do the video of me can finally walk down the terraces here on these new stairs, which is really great. So maybe this is a good moment that you have a closer look at them. What I did is basically I use the plastic on the top because of the weather condition. We are so close to the coast that we need to have something that doesn't weather so fast. And on the sides, this is also actually, this is wood. This is also what you would use for your terrace, so it's quite thick and sturdy. And here you can tell that we just did a little work here today. So this still has to be painted. In general, everything is stained in black, so that the entire stairs are stained in black, because one of the things that keep me really busy at this part of the garden are all of these wood mantles here. And you will see as we just walk down, there is still one layer which is totally exposed landscape fabric, because this is just how I started this entire area. But this year I'm on a mission to make sure that by the end of the year I want everything to be mantled with wood, and I think it looks really neat. These are fence sections actually that are just normal wood, so I stain them black, and then I put these wooden boards on top of it, which are also stained black, just to give it a nice finish. And then you have these asters, which are just growing over here. There is persicaria here. We've got all these beautiful petunias, the purple ones, which are just going to spill over. And what is really beautiful, and I think your angle is really pretty, is the aquilegias on both sides. And then if you just look straight through here, you have the focal point onto these cannas, these banana leaf kind of cannas, very dark. I always love to play with dark foliage because there is a lot of green foliage here, and then suddenly you have this big dark impact. Still, I don't know what color the bloom will be. So eventually red, maybe orange. I would prefer red, but if it's orange, it's fine too. Another lovely thing that I want to show you in this area is here on your right. This is a clematis, which I basically trained to grow like a perennial, which is actually the way on how you should train it. There is a framework underneath here which kind of disappears now with twisted willow branches that I twist together, and then I just like arch them and push them into this ground, and now the clematis has a support system so it can just grow in here. There are different ways of doing this. I also know that there is a method of using hazel canes or hazel branches, and you just stick them in the ground, and then as a clematis grows in, you might cut back some of those hazel branches. But I also discovered this way of doing, a method of doing, and I think it looks nicer because by doing these arches it almost looks a little bit like a cage, and then in winter you also have a quite intriguing structure that you can actually leave in the ground. And the clematis, again, a lot of flower buds appearing everywhere in here. So flower buds here and there, and more are coming here. So I think this year will be just fantastic for this clematis. What we're going to do now is walk to the next layer. So just one terrace further down, which is the third terrace in the garden here. And there you will see a lot of pots because, as I told you before, I grow a lot of my plants from seed. And this year I grew a lot of cosmos, a lot of amaranth, and also some grass, which is bound to go into that area. There are also some dahlias, which are looking really fantastic because I start my dahlias always in pots, because I feel that they have a better start, and I have a lot of slugs and snails in the garden here. So when I put them in pots, I have a good slug and snail control. And then at one point when the dahlias have grown in well and to a good size, then I don't have to bother so much with slugs and snails. So this is the third terrace, and this is where I was just very busy with mantling. So you see, up until here, it's pretty much ready. So there is the wooden board on top, there is the mantle here at the front, and then there is no wooden board on the top here. But at least all the way along, everything is mantled with black, nice wooden fence sections now. And what I want to show you are some of my seedlings here because they're almost like my treasure. So I will do an entire planting video here, probably in 3 to 4 weeks from now, I suppose. But look at these Cosmo apricota. They will come to bloom, well, apricota in a peachy tone with a pink center. Roots are already coming out at the base of the pot. Not sure if I can already check how the root system is. Oh, good. Look at that. The soil already holds together just by the roots. This is a good start. Still, it goes back in here. Then I've got amaranth. This is a variety called Hot Biscuit. And you can already tell by the stem what color the blooms will be like. Again, these like big plumes. They won't be tassels, but in this like toffee color. So can't wait for these. I have a lot of them. Then I have this beautiful grass, Red Jewels. Isn't it looking cute? It starts off green, but now you can tell that as it matures, it goes also dark. So at one point it will be a really nice purpley, big drift of grass here. And I have a couple of pots. Then I have, what else is here? Some really nice delphinium. They're all grown from seed from my one delphinium, which I'm going to show you now, which still is smothered by slugs and snails, but at least it survives it. So the offspring, hopefully, will be happy too. So I managed to have a couple of plants. Here are some of my dahlias that are looking really cute. Very nice. This is where is it? Riedel. I think Dr. P.H. Riedel, if I'm not wrong. Orange, but orange with pink. This is the weather I love orange. When orange and pink are kind of like mixed together, it looks like popsicle. It looks like summer and yummy almost, and they are fantastic. So there is a delphinium that I was just talking about, which is going to come to bloom in a steely lilac. It is a beautiful color, probably in 4 weeks from now. So once it is time, I'm definitely going to put some photos of this on Instagram. And then here, you might remember last year, I did a video where I potted up this acer, which is called Brilliantissimum. It came back, but I think it's not really happy in its pot. I think two things what happened is that we surprisingly had a little late frost and some of the leaves are crunchy now, but still it's coming with more leaves, so it's definitely going to make it. But we also said that it would be nice to have another small tree here, so I have to cut it at one point because Brilliantissimum would grow to a full tree. But it would be just nice to have a nice standard here. So I think where it is now it really might find its way into the ground, because the entire area where we were just walking will be filled with plants, because I don't want to have a path on this terrace here. I really just want to fill it completely. I have a path here on this terrace, I have a path there on the top terrace, so I think it's nice to have one terrace which is only filled with blooms and no way on how to walk on it anymore. One thing that you can see really beautiful if you have a terrace garden is that by doing the terraces, suddenly flowers are in different levels and you see flowers from different angles to how you would normally see them. Because normally you're walking and you see your flowers like below your eyes, but suddenly a lot of the flowers are elevated and above your head. Like for example, the Aquilegia here is on eye level, which is really interesting. The roses and the benches like above eye level, obviously. So by working here on these terraces, you have such different and interesting angles and a different perspective on your plants and the way of gardening, which I really enjoy, I have to say. Tulips here, like one of those things, when I see it, I have to do it. I don't want that they produce seeds, so very quickly I'm going to nip them off so that next year I'm going to have beautiful tulips. And now it's quite positive that there is something here on the terrace garden which is actually not so ideal, because in the middle of the entire terrace garden there is a compost heap, which when we started it was convenient, but now we said that actually in the middle of the terrace garden there is a compost heap. That is so silly, so I'm not sure what to do. I mean, now it's convenient because the tulip things can just go there, but you can tell all of this here is compost. I mean, I came in already with some beams, with some beams, and then some willow cutting, so I did a wattle fence here, and then I put a lot of miscanthus in the back here, and just, it's a compost, all different things, the lawn clippings are here, but I'm not sure. I mean, we need to have a big compost heap because you see the upper garden and you know at one point I cut back everything, so there is a lot of dead material, but at the same time it shouldn't be maybe in the middle of the back of the garden. So somehow there has to be a solution on what to do with that. So if we continue walking, we enter the entire brand new area of the garden, which is my big fun project right now, and I think it always will be. So the first part here, this is an extension to the vegetable garden, and I have 5 raised beds in here. I have cherries that I planted and want to train as espalier in there, and I did videos about it. What we have too is a dead hedge, which was here first, so it separates in a way. But on another way, I like the dead hedge. It is sometimes a nice backdrop, and it's so good for wildlife because, for example, hedgehogs might find shelter in there. And I saw last year some birds were definitely flying in there and were nesting in there because cats, for example, if the dead hedge is quite wide and thick, cats don't have access. So it is just a good thing for wildlife. So here in the first raised bed, it's covered now because of the deer, because I still don't have the chicken wire that I want to put there. There are strawberries. San Andreas, they will produce fruit throughout the entire year, so this is new for me, no idea. So here underneath there, this is where I have more cauliflower, and I think also 2 or 3 pointy cabbages because I mixed up my labels at one point. Then here I put some dahlias. This is a variety called Danique. They will also be red-orange, so this is a first for me, I have no idea, but the foliage is beautiful. Please just look at the foliage of these dahlias. Again, I love the sinister dark leaves, and you can see slug damage here, so definitely slugs and snails were on here. So this is always a time of the year when I'm checking, and obviously because everything is mulched here, these little monsters are sitting under it, but that's what gardening sometimes is. Here you can tell this entire bed I want to fill with broccoli, but I do succession sowing. So here I started probably 6 weeks ago, then there are, well, 4 or 5 more actually. What happened to the 5th one? 5 more that I sown 3 weeks ago, and then I was just sowing the other day. So I always want to have new plants coming bit by bit and ripening bit by bit, because 2 years ago I had all my broccoli ripe at one time. So I had 20 broccoli ripe within a week, and there was a point when I thought, okay, I think I'm fine with broccoli for the year now because I try to eat all of it, and this year I want to have a different strategy on it. Well, you see too, a lot of my annuals that I grow, I really ran out of space, so I needed to put them here and there and everywhere. So I've got some snapdragons here, and then my amaranth, which is for the upper garden, my red amaranth. Don't they look amazing? Normally I grow them in a seed tray, and now they're already separated. And because I really have limited space, I always put 4 to 5 plants in one of these pots. And then when they're big enough, I can just break them apart and separate them. This is how I did it last year. And it worked fairly well. One thing I want to show you here are my gooseberries, because I planted them when they were in flower, and now they are the first fruit on them. They're white gooseberries, so the ones are a little sweeter, and they look really nice. Blueberries here, they are flowering, which is nice, which is really interesting, because blueberries, normally when you plant young blueberry shrubs, you have to wait roughly for 4 to 5 years to have the first crop and harvest. But here, because I bought these plants that are already a little more matured, so they produce flowers. Here, my investment for the year, again, cold frames. So I really love these 2 cold frames here, and I really use them a lot. I started my dahlias in pots in here, and now I have more cosmos in here. So really cute cosmos. And then I have some more stock in here that you will see in my cut flower garden as backup plants. They look so cute. Maybe I'm just going to put them in some pots here. Some more amaranth. I was sowing more grass in here. So in general, the cold frames are definitely an amazing investment. And I think once these things are out, I might sow, for example, some pansies, that I will use them for my autumn planting. So the cycle just continues. And then I can also just use more of my own plants rather than going to the garden center and try to find pansies there. I can just grow them on my own. So if we just continue walking, you see here recently I just did a video, because in this area I want to grow only cut flowers, and I've already started here. So there is stock, there are belts of Ireland, and then in front of you there are more plants, more red amaranth, because I thought I want to put more red amaranth probably here in the back. Then I have some zinnias here. This is El Dorado. They will come to bloom in a reddish tone, so no idea what to expect from them. And then this is my big fun love project for the year, literally. This was totally overgrown last year. So even like half a year ago, it was a lot of overgrown old elders, especially in this area here. So I took out a lot of those elders and I kept 3 of them. One is really beautiful, and 2 other older elders I want to train into a similar shape. Then I had a lot of blackberries here, which were just growing wild. They haven't even produced any fruit, so they're really not fun. And then I had couch grass here, which you still see behind the wattle fence, which looks quite cute, but everybody who has a garden knows that couch grass is not the friend of a gardener, because every teeny tiny bit of root that you leave on the ground is going to produce another grass, and yeah, I don't want that. So for this area, I want to have big drifts of plants, and I want to focus on colors of like blue purple, because this is just like my favorite color in general in the garden. And I see that Alfie just like dawdles off now into the farmland. So just in case if I'm going to run away in a second, I'm hunting Alfie. But I want to have blue shades here. I want to have some orange in here, but orange which is on the pinkish side, and then probably also some pink in there. So I really want to play with new color combinations and colors also that I normally try to, or that I just shied away off a little bit. Like orange was also not top of my priority list, but then with these orange pinkish dahlias last year, also totally tangerine is a beautiful example. I really developed a love affair for orange in the garden. So here, this is one of the first big old elders, which I want to train into a specific kind of shape, which is that one here. So this elder, I think, grows really beautiful. It is really just like arching branches, a little bit like an umbrella. You kind of walk through here almost like a tunnel of branches, and that's what I think is very nice and whimsical. If you follow my gardening account for a while and see my videos frequently, you know that whimsical is one of my favorite words on how to describe my garden. Here, this was a tryout, Camassia. I knew Camassia obviously before, but I never had them in my garden, and I really love them. They came really well. They flower so long, very beautiful color. And what I want to do with Camassia is I will transplant those, and then next year, or end of this year, I will put more combs in here. So in between the grasses, and the same now Alfie's back, and more here, because I just, as I told you in my video yesterday in the first part of a garden tour, I love when you have grasses, but then in between the grasses you grow something that flowers. So in the upper garden I have the Aquilegia, and here I want to focus on Camassia, and I think it would be really fun to have these like nice grasses, and as they're established they'll be even bulkier, and then you have these really nice elegant blue spikes coming up on like here and there, and maybe in the back there, so you really have these nice drifts of purple. here, this is an area where you see these beautiful stools that were actually used to maneuver on the slope. So this is really before the steps were there. This is what I had there, so we could walk up and down the terraces, and they were already breaking apart, as you can see here. So it was not really safe and sound. So now for the moment, they are here just to sit on here. But in the long run, we want to build something here. I don't want to put like a bench here, which is just a rectangle, because you can see that all the lines are very organic. There's no lawn in here. It is a nice path that winds through and curves through. So I also want to have a bench, which is kind of like round shaped or half round shaped. And what I think is nice about this area, and this is also why I wanted to have 0 straight lines in here, and then the path is like winding through and curving through, is that normally, if you want to go through your garden and if you want to go from one point to another, you always have a straight line. You always walk straight to go somewhere fast. But I don't want that this is an area of the garden where you walk through fast. I wanted to make sure that this is where you slow down and where you just take the time to observe everything and look at everything. Really nice here. Big drift of Perovskia that I planted with you. They're looking really nice, and I've got more dahlias. They will be orange too, a new variety for me called Rancho. Then more of my seedlings from upper garden. This is Persicaria. I think it's Terrace. I'm not 100% sure because I have different varieties. Then this is what I just recently planted. So some panicum here that will turn red later on in the year. Then a nice drift of brown foxgloves. I'm distracted because somebody was scratching here in the middle of my foxglove seedlings. No. Oh, some of them, see, I should have mulched it in probably. Maybe I need to do it tomorrow. I have more seedlings up there. I can do some weeding now. But I think it would be really nice next year. Foxgloves are biennial. So the first year they're just going to form this nice rosette of leaves. And then the next year they come up with some big tall spikes of flowers. I have never had brown foxgloves in my garden, so I'm really excited about those. And then here, this is really like the last bit of it. What I want to put here are big grasses and miscanthus grasses. So I already put the first miscanthus here, which is called Ferne Osten, which means in English Far East. This is green throughout summer, and then it is supposed to change color into crimson red in autumn. So I really want to put different kind of miscanthus here, also in different heights, also in the area where we're just walking through. I've ordered some online. So I think that I will also do a video about like planting miscanthus and what kind of miscanthus are going to go into the garden. So I just try to walk around you now because I think the best way on how to end the video is really if you have a nice view onto the entire terrace garden here, and also if you just really look down this nice beautiful path, because this is something which I discovered I've really enjoyed to look at. So if we just go down here and you see how it curves through, then the wattle fence in the back, you see as a backdrop the structure for the espalier and the vegetable garden. So this is really my fun bit of the garden right now. So I think everybody who has a garden knows that as the years are progressing, every year you have something which excites you the most, and this year this definitely is the area that excites me the most. And that's it for the entire garden tour. So I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you found it interesting to see my entire garden now, to see all different kind of areas, and also to see how the garden evolves and changes over time, and especially here in the back of our garden, because if you follow my channel from the beginning, you might remember how the entire terrace garden looked pretty much 1.5 years ago, and how it looks already this year when things are establishing and they're looking better. And I also learn what thrives really well here and what kind of plants love it here in my garden. So can't wait to share more garden videos with you. Can't wait to do more garden tours as the year progresses. So once again, thank you for watching today's video. Thank you if you subscribe to my channel. Thank you if you give me a thumbs up for this video. If you want to see more from my garden, the link to my Instagram is just down below this video here, and I would honestly love to welcome you very soon again in my garden. Take care, guys. Bye.